Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to the shit show. This is a short video based off my D&D character. I just thought it'd be fun to do, so let's jump into it. My name is Zay Truelight. Um, I'm not sure what my race really is throughout my life up until this point. It's out of character. I am a variant as Mario. It's basically like you have divine blood in you. But, all right, back in character. I am here to tell my background story. So, a short variation of what everything is. Um, my story truly begins when a knighthood and killed a good chunk of my people. Keep in mind, I am a orphan. I was teaching kids how to pretty much read, write stuff, and like some of the bare bones stuff about being a druid. Um, when a knight, all I remember is a knightly order. I think it was Knight of the Solaris, but my memory was also kind of unreliable because that's still a really big traumatic event, regardless. But so long story short, the overview of what happened is this nightly order came in, wiped out half of my tribe, killed a whole bunch of kids, killed a whole bunch of my friends and my adopted family, just to say, um, oops, my bad, and took off. The biggest thing I remember is they were just a bunch of knights. So, but here's a little bit more deeper understanding of what happened that day from my point of view. I was right in the middle of actually teaching a class of students that day. There was about 10 or 12. Um, we was actually doing some math when I heard something in the background and somebody said I couldn't make out. It was like, wait, what? And the next thing you know, there was an arrow flied through the window and ended up um, stacking right into a kid's head. Blood started squirting everywhere. I was like, I was stunned for a second, and then I got back up and it's like rushed and like, hey kids, come with me. We're under an attack. I wonder what type of monsters are attacking us. We went to go outside, but before I could even walk out the door, I got kicked in the stomach and flown back. When I was getting back up, this dude just was just slaying the kids all around me, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I mean, think about it. I was actually really angry at the time. Um, I went and kicked the knight in the face, like full on drop kicked. This is before I actually got much combat training, but I kicked the dude right in the kicked it, pushed back the knight just a hair while I fall back on my feet and I looked around. he already killed three of the kids. I ran to the other window while the guy was stunned for a second, like burst it open and like started throwing the kids out the window. And when I mean throwing the kids out the window, I'm talking about I actually just picked them up and just I was in a panic trying to get these kids out. These kids, well, I got about half of them out the window before the knight started walking back in. I saw a symbol that, to my new knowledge, looks a lot more like the Knights of Soloist, but I, like I said, I could be just projecting because of some of my newer teammates, and that was a very traumatic day. Well, I got half the students out that weren't dead before the knight jumped back in and threw his sword, aiming for me. And then one of the girl students jumped in the way of the sword. I was like, nah! With such a rage that I pulled the sword out and actually charged the dude, telling telling the kids to get out the window. Little did I know, um, there was already somebody out there about to wipe them out. I was the anger, the fury in my voice, the tempo of my being. I was truly pissed off. Um, I was in such a rage I couldn't even hardly think straight. And the only real spells I knew at the time was Thunderclap and a self healing spell that I had that I was born with, and Druid spell. I forgot what it's actually called. Um, well, yeah, so that's basically all I knew at the moment. As soon as I clashed swords with the knight, I raised up my hand and cast Thunderclap to it pushed the guy back a pretty decent feat just for me to turn around to see that the kids that actually got outside was trampled upon by or shot death by some knights using some crossbows. And at this moment in time, I was getting livid. I ended up using a druid spell to got what that uh um just out of instinct, really. I've never, at this point in my life, I've never really fought that much other than some simple beast. The knight started walking back forward again, really pissed off when he saw he cast the druid spell and there were flowers and stuff. Um, that started growing at an enhanced rate, and he stepped back and he's like, "Are you druid?" Like, yes, I am a proud fucking druid, you asshole. And I went to charge him again with the sword. At this time, all I could do is cast one first level spell at the time because I was still wet behind the ears myself. I was a school teacher to a bunch of young kids while I was still learning how my higher druid abilities and stuff from some of the other. When this guy was like hit my sword, knocked the sword out of my hand, kicked me in the stomach, and then pretty much to not knock me back, making me groggy as fuck. And then he yells out, he yells, "Stop the attack!" And just before I started dozing off, see this knight in pure white armor had stopped the attack. We got the wrong information. Then the next thing I hear is this loud boom of one of the a bird coming in and then transforming into a dragon, and then I fell unconscious. A good sometime later, I ended up waking up in a makeshift tent, looking around, and was like, "What the just happened?" I looked around from side to side, and was like, "No, it wasn't just a dream." No, I my character started screaming at the top of his lungs. No, are the kids okay? Are the kids okay? Are the kid to an one of the druids that was tending to the wounded came over and just gave me a big hug. "I'm sorry. Most of the kids you were teaching got killed before the elder came." He's like, "What?" I said, "What happened?" in a surprised tone. Like, "What happened?" And with tears just running down his face with anger swirled up inside of himself. Um, he started hyperventilating for a second until the druid ended up casting um, cure wounds on me and calm my mind a little bit. Like, I know everything's a shock to you, but this is generally what happened after you passed out. I was actually nearby. One of the knights started yelling to stop the attack, that there was a mistake here. I mean, it took a second until the elder came flying through the sky. At first, he was in a form of a griffin, and then he just gradually turned into a dragon and blew fire over the top of some of the knights. And with finally landing on the ground in his human form, it's like, "How dare you attack our settlement? What did we do to you?" Like, with this overwhelming power. It's like, and it's like, we were knights of the kingdom. We actually came to slaughter a. We basically came to slaughter a illegal magic settlement that we was told about. That we are druid god. The guy yelled at the top of his voice with a segment segmentation of a roar in his voice. The head knight, the one that just knocked me out, took a few steps back before catching himself and pushed himself back forward. Like, we were doing what we were told by the kingdom itself. And as soon as I realized that um, our mistake, I stopped the attack, and that's just when you came. We thought that, like I said, we were told that this was a black magic settlement of a bunch of sorcerers and stuff trying to summon demons, and we were told to wipe out the entire settlement, men, women, children, because we didn't want any of the taint of dark sorcery coming in. This is a druid settlement. You came in, and how many of you, the the guy drooped his head, we were just doing what we were told. I am so sorry that this happened. And now that I realize, I will report back what this place is and see if the king is willing to send his apologies too. If your kingdom would actually relax a little bit, let people actually breathe when it comes to magic, this shit wouldn't have happened. You wouldn't have sorcerers out there trying to summon demons and stuff to get revenge from the countless men, women, and children slaughtered. Said with grabbing the knight and picking them up, making them look face to face with one another, and then he threw them back down. I will go with you. If I come to back here with any of my people dead by your guys' hands at while I'm walking with you, there will be dire consequences. We are the king's guard. The dude gets knocked back. I don't care. And then the girl looked back at the That's generally what happened. The knights started helping rebuild some of the village, but shortly after ended up going away after several major squabbles happened of, you know, really angry parents basically wanting the heads of all the knights. And then next thing, so they ended up leaving, and then all they hear is a loud roar for a second. I gradually worked my way up, and it's like, how long ago was that? That was 4 days ago. And I hear the roar again. Me and her walked outside to see um, a dragon, then shape back into a human, and then touch on the ground. I yell out, "Father, elder! Elder! What has become of everything? Tell us what's going on." The elder looked at me for a second and bent down and gave me a big hug, and I was like, "I'm so sorry, my son. I know how much of a toll this has with all the shit that they've done. But you and I'm gonna call on a few other people, and I'm gonna go and explain the details of basically what happened and whatnot." And he was like, "Okay." Everybody gathered, and all the leaders and stuff. The only reason why I was allowed in there is because that was my adopted father. Came in and was like, "Okay, here is bare bones of the situation. Like previous discussed, they thought we were in a legal sorcerer settlement. They've been having problems with people doing black magic and even some god awful things. Um, and a passing traveler thought we was one of those settlements when they came by. I mean, magic looks like magic with a said with a growl on his face. After we went and talked to the king, and after saying that, and they said that they were going to compensate us for the loss of life, um, and anybody interested in being a druid, we help build back up our numbers and sending us a large sum of gold. At this point in time, that's about all we can do. Um, his fist clenched, and his hand is saying, "That's all we can do. That is all." Our hero, Zay, slams his hand. "I saw half, more than half, of my students, young fucking kids, hurt, and that's all they can fucking do. They shouldn't be slaughtering people, especially kids, indiscriminately anyway. All they can fucking muster? That's a fucking joke, and they know it." He, the elder, put his hand. "I understand your feeling. Like, but there are other things that we have to consider too. Other, are we not going to do anything about anything? Like, I am sorry, but we also have to look out for the people that are." He drew back, like just jumped back out of his clutch of the elder, and he was like, "I need to go for some air." And he walked back to his house, which was half burnt down. He grabbed. There was still some minor stuff that he still had laying around that he threw in his bag. He picked up the scimitar and some light armor, sheathed it, and while pretty much everybody was busy moaning, crying, he just left. He just walked in and didn't stop for almost about 18 hours before he just stopped, looked around, and saw there was this hole in the tree just big enough for a human, and he ended up shoving himself into the hole, sit there, and ended up crying himself to sleep. He started traveling mainly tops of trees, stuff, falling every once in a while. Every time he got hurt, he would use his gift that he got ever since he was a baby. He had this ability to be able to heal. It wasn't much, and he figured it would grow at some point, but basically he wandered here, he wandered there, and he finally got to this one town. Looking around, he saw an inn. He still had a few coins left, and but instead of deciding to go to the inn at first, he decided to climb up this or lay his back on this cliff, knowing the inn was right above him, and sit there. At this point, it was a little over uh, 2 years since he was back in the Druid village. He saw this squire knight looking dude walk by. He ended up saying something to our hero. He just flipped him off, told him to go fuck off, human. And then he decided to climb up, uh, up over on this one little cliff thing, on this one little edge coming off this cliff. He sat on there and just wagged his feet out and about, and that is where our protagonist joins our other heroes, um, or villains. This D&D session is kind of funky all in itself. Um, but like I said, this is just a small short story I'm doing just for kicks and haws. If you enjoy it, like, press the like button. If you want more of the story, comment, be like, hey, more, I want more. And I will tell you the story from my knowledge of what we did in our D&D campaign. Peace out, everybody. Peace.